Pat McCord. Yeah, that's up. You punched the right button that time.
There we are.
You kind of got like a green suit on, but we'll live with that.
Yeah, we're all
Who's
kind
got
of
a green
blue.
suit?
We all look like Smurfs.
Yeah. Well, Halloween. We got a Halloween bug in the control room. Every other camera, y'all look great. But this camera,
Looks all right.
look, his shirt is not, his suit is not green.
No.
No, it's a tan-looking suit. Doesn't look green. It looks white, tan, whatever.
Hawk. Amongst
Okay, yeah, anyway, Pat McCord, Maura Phelan, thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Got it right.
That's right, Marilyn Jackson couldn't make it.
Wait,
Gavino is
Phelan, it's Phelan.
Phelan, the DA candidate from my party. And, of course, Mike Lee will be on right after us with his own show. And we're going to discuss, Pat McCord will be here in just a minute. And we will talk some about the difference in campaigning now that it's first day of early voting. And evidently there's been good crowds at all the polling places, which, well, you know, as I've always said, I always thought that election day you're supposed to go. That's your civic duty and all that, but nonetheless, we'll probably go to. So,
That's what you sound like.
well, I got my teeth in right.
No. Okay, that dude. All right, let me hook up the computer.
All right, we're on the way. Oh, no, that was even better, huh? It's still, I tell you, don't wear blue, right?
Well, this is purple also, so.
Well,
You're still
a
a,
goblin.
a ghost.
I'm a goblin.
He's a ghost.
I do have a black jacket.
Oh, no, you look good just that way. Remember, it's Halloween. We're in the spirit.
All right.
Pat McCord, we'll start with you, sir.
Okay.
Pat McCord, where are you from? Who in the heck are you? Stuff like that.
Well, I currently live in Pflugerville.
I mean, besides being a half a ghost. Oh, there, he looks okay there.
There we go.
This is camera.
Just that one camera?
This camera has a ghost in it.
I guess you'll just have to use the other two.
No, we're fine.
The fun of the trailer park show, you got to mess with the different cameras.
Very interesting.
It's actually high-tech stuff, probably higher tech than we are. Is probably why we have glitches every now and then.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's almost Halloween, so.
It's almost
There we go.
Halloween, yeah. Anyway, go ahead, give us a bio, run down who you are, where you are, what you want to do, because I don't think
Okay.
you've been on this show before, have you?
I have never been on this show before. Again, my name's Pat McCord. I live in Pflugerville currently. I've lived there for close to 30 years. Raised my family there. My daughter went to Pflugerville High School and graduated from there. While I've lived in Pflugerville, I've been very active in the community. I was twice elected to the city council there and served 2 terms. I also, in their annual festival there, they have the Deutschenfest. I was the chairman of that festival for 5 years, and I was on the committee for over 20 years. Very active in my church also. I go to St. Elizabeth's Church in Pflugerville, and they have an annual festival, and I'm a regular volunteer and worker there. And I've served on a number of boards and commissions in the Pflugerville area, have done a lot of work in the community. And prior to that, I was in the military. I was in the Navy before I came to the Austin area.
I was on the Never Dock myself.
I was on the Never Sail. I was primarily on a
You
submarine.
lucky dog.
On a submarine tender. So
All I did was wash pots and pans forever, and it never stopped. And if you go up top, all you saw was a tanker.
there you go.
Yeah, that means you're going to be stuck out there for at least another week.
Yep, you learn to sweep and mop real well in the Navy.
You certainly do. Sleep anywhere.
Sleep where you can when you can. So, and when I got out of the Navy, I came to Austin. I started working in the high-tech industry, worked at a couple of companies that supplied parts to the military and aerospace community, and I have recently retired from there. The company I work for got purchased by a company in Florida. They moved the company to Florida, and I like Texas too much, so I stayed here. And it provided me this opportunity. The timing was right to run for county commissioner. I'd considered a run last cycle and passed on that just because things were so busy in my life, but really look forward to making a go of it this time.
Who's your, if you mind me asking, who's your opponent?
I
don't even know.
I have 2 opponents. The Democrat component is Jeffrey Trevelyan. He's also from Pflugerville, lives up in the Blackhawk area. And also Ashley Gordon, Ashley Flash Gordon, is the Green Party representative.
Well, that might help you some.
So she's very well known here in the East Austin community.
Well, you've probably been awfully active. Anyway, appreciate it.
right,
Go ahead,
thank
Sarah.
Maura.
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 Spit it out. Maura.
It's Maura. It's Maura Phelan.
Maura Phelan. Our next DA! Yay!
Yes.
We pray.
Yeah, we certainly do. Now, this is a county-wide race, too, so we can all vote for you.
It is. It's a county-wide race, and it means that everybody needs to get out and vote. So if you're in Travis County, you get to vote in the DA's race.
Tell us where you come from, stuff like that.
Well,
You
I'm
told us
from.
that last time, didn't you?
It's been a long
Say
time.
It's been a long
repeat it
time.
Again.
I'm
Say it
from.
again.
I was raised in Houston, Texas, Northwest Houston, and then went to Texas A&M for undergrad, have an animal science degree, and went to University of Houston Law School, and then. While I was in Houston, I worked for a commercial litigation white-collar crime firm, worked for the Harris County DA's office as a juvenile prosecutor, then went to Williamson County and was an assistant county attorney under Billy Ray Stubblefield, then did 12 years in the Travis County District Attorney's office as an assistant district attorney. I was in just about every division in the DA's office, child abuse, trial court, civil and criminal parts of child abuse, the child protection team, the repeat offender unit, the sexual offender registration unit, lottery, motor fuels tax fraud, general local, which was complex litigation, and grand jury. So I was in all of them, public integrity. So.
I'd say we got it set up right, the two lawyers on there. Before we go on this, I got to mention this party. Animal science degree to a lawyer.
Yeah, you can get into law school with any degree. So I used to tell my juries it makes me uniquely qualified to understand the criminal mind.
It's nice. It's nice to know animals if you're going to practice law.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Okay.
You deal with a lot of animals practicing law.
Got a lot of dogs out there.
Go ahead, Mike Lee, you got it.
I had there's a question I have for you, kind of like Maura. You and I go a lot of places. We frequent a lot of places. I've never seen your opponent. Is she real?
She is. She's diminutive, but she's real. I have seen her. Let's see. I saw her on Saturday. Black Pflugerville had a candidates forum, and she stayed and answered the questions and then left. I saw her last week when there was another candidates forum, and then the last time before that I saw her was at the sexual assault resource team when we spoke there.
You know, for you and Pat both, I work as the community director of outreach and engagement for the Travis County Republican Party. And what has, I guess, the biggest challenge that I've seen is that it's almost as though some people didn't know we exist. And as a matter of fact, I met someone this morning out in Pflugerville where we were, Pat. It said they called us the Republican Party thugs, and I was looking the part this morning because I had my hat, my sunglasses on.
Yeah.
I was ready to rumble too. I'm always ready to rumble. But Maura, I think you and I we've been at the Victory Grill, we've been at the Carver for functions, we've been in a number of places, but I've never seen your opponent.
And
Never.
the Carver Museum is a beautiful facility.
It's almost as though the Democratic Party takes everyone for granted.
Well, and actually what I've been getting from people who live in East Austin who have said that, have come out and said that they do believe that they've been taken for granted. That especially when this candidate that came out of nowhere, as far as they're concerned, came out and beat Gary Cobb. who had been at the DA's office. Let's see, it's 25 years this year. He just had his 25th anniversary, and who had been the person they believed was going to be their candidate. So, yeah.
There was something you put up on Facebook either yesterday or the day before, and I reposted it, and I had my own comments on it, which were that Gary Cobb is an African American.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Democrat, obviously, and I believe this is the second time he's been passed over.
That's correct. He was one of the cast of 5 that all ran for the position when Ronnie Earl vacated when he retired. It was Rosemary Lemberg, Gary Cobb, Minnie Montfort, Rick Reed, and somebody else was running too, I believe.
So Margaret Moore wasn't even in that number?
No.
They just dug her out of the closet or what?
Margaret Moore's been retired for 3 years. She was at the Attorney General's office for 9 years doing Medicare fraud cases, which are administrative law. And before that, the last time she did any criminal law was 1985. And that's when she was county attorney, so she was doing misdemeanors from 81 to 85. The last time she was an assistant DA and worked in felonies at all was 1979 to 1981.
So basically,
when I was in
they
high
just
school.
dug her up and put the hat on her? Is that what the deal is?
No comment. Yes, I assume so.
Well, I said that.
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
She just, now I understand the part about Gary Cobb, because I thought for sure he was too. These lawyers you mentioned that were running last time, I don't know much about this, but I know that there's a whole group of lawyers down there downtown, the county attorney, the city attorney, and all these other darn attorneys. It's like they're a little gaggle down there. You saw them all come out when DA was having a little too much to drink, and they all went and told her what a great girl she was. Now, for somebody who doesn't really know about lawyers and the kind of power they have downtown, it's like they're a downtown covenant of lawyers, and they just get into everything. Am I wrong in seeing it like this, or? Maybe I can't articulate what I'm trying to say here, but I know that they're a powerful group of lawyers.
Well, it's kind of cliquish from what I gather.
It's kind of a powerful group of lawyers.
And there's one thing that Maura has emphasized in her campaign, which is important to me, which is having plea guidelines.
Yeah.
Because with no plea guidelines, it kind of allows the prosecutor to do whatever he wants to do within the full range of punishment. And that way, punishment could vary depending on the prosecutor. And the prosecutor's own prejudices could come into play without anybody knowing.
Or the influence of other attorneys. I mean, this is the problem that I have, is that because the district attorney's office doesn't have any guidelines for prosecutors and doesn't have any training or orientation to even try and give them parameters, we have right now people who, with the same background and the same offenses, are getting completely different sentences. And it just depends on who you are and who you know. And that's not justice.
Or who your
So
lawyer
that kind of
is.
perpetuates a good old boy system to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think with the integrity unit that used to be run out of that group, I think there was what I would consider to be malicious prosecution that took place, especially on state officials. And if you look at their success rate or the overturn rate for some of the convictions that they had, it was horrible. And to me, that just said that was a group of Democrat lawmakers going after Republicans for offenses that they would never, ever approach going after a Democrat for.
Well, I find it interesting that Donna Dukes, it took the allegations against her go back years, many years, and she's a Travis County politician, and nothing ever came of it until finally the Texas Rangers actually did the investigation, and now they've turned that over to the DA's office. And the response from the DA's office was, if she retires, it won't go anywhere. Well, if she committed the offense, she still committed the offense, whether or not she retires. So, I just don't understand that.
Well, it just seems to me that justice is not even for sale, it's for barter. Depends on who you know.
Can I jump in here again? So I could go out and do some kind of criminal activity, but then just tell them I'm retired? You know, my little trailer park mind is really thinking about this now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
I think you have to be a member of the legislature.
Oh, hell, that was just a
Sorry.
drawback somewhere in there.
There's always that kicker.
I had a double wide in mind and everything.
No, you have to be a
I'm
Democrat.
sorry, go ahead. I'm trying to
You have to
shut
be a
up.
Democrat to get that break.
Oh, I'm still stuck in my single wide there.
Well, and the problem I have is, well, first of all, we have someone with a criminal record who's prosecuting criminal cases. But also to be an office that is supposed to be protecting public integrity, but yet appears to not have any integrity. And you and I know that when you become a member of the bar, when you become a lawyer, you have to abide by the lawyer's canons, the code of
Right.
ethics, which says you have to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. And we've just got so many things that have happened at the district attorney's office and things that they have
Can't
handled
connect.
that have an
No film.
appearance of impropriety.
No film. She can't. Just a picture of a machine in there.
But there's no film?
Image can't connect it to this network.
So they can hear us, but they can't see us?
No, I mean the film we were going to play.
Oh,
Ah,
oh.
I mean it's a visual medium, so you figure you ought to put up film and pictures, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, we have
I don't know if
keep
she can put the
going.
picture up or not, but go to.
Pat, what do you see as some of the key issues in your race?
I think that the county commissioner's race, I've said a number of times, is that the precinct 1, it's a very large precinct, covers a lot of open and rural space to the east of I-35, reaches almost to Elgin at the tip of the county line, starts at Round Rock at I-35 and shoots across that direction, follows I-35 all the way down to the river and goes to the county line east. So it's a very large precinct, some large, well-developed communities in there. Pflugerville certainly is one of the larger. The eastern, northeast Austin communities are very well-developed and heavily populated. Then you come down the interstate, you have East Austin. And then the areas that we've spent some time talking to and working with, Weberville, the Colony, and Hornsby Bend. And, those people, I've been out there and spoke to a number of people. I've walked in that area, and I think that they feel underserved. They've had representation, but they don't feel like the tax dollars that they're putting into the system are coming back to their community in the form of the things they want. Improved roads, improved infrastructure, commercial development. They're not seeing any of that out in their area, and they're looking for someone, a leader, to come out there and help direct some of that activity. There's an edge of a blade that they dance on out there, and that is there's a large portion of the people out there that say, leave me alone. Don't bring me roads, don't bring me all of that, because my property taxes are going to go up and this area is going to develop quickly. But then you have other people out there, especially landowners, that are looking forward to that day. If they have a piece of land, they're looking forward to the day they have the opportunity to sell it. And a lot of the development that's taken place in East Austin, some protests yesterday about gentrification, a lot of that activity that's going on in East Austin is forcing those people out into that portion of the county. They're forcing the people out into Hornsby Bend and the Colony and Weberville. And at some of the forums that I've been to, they talk about improved roads. They want a better connectivity to downtown Austin. As soon as you create that connectivity to downtown Austin, it's going to develop and develop rapidly because it's the closest undeveloped area to downtown. And so all of the things that they desire, improved roads and improved infrastructure, utilities, water, wastewater, as soon as those things come in, that area will develop also. And so for some people, that's going to be a blessing, and for others, it's going to be a curse because they'll get forced further to the east.
Well, and I'm president of the neighborhood association that I live in Manor, and so my neighborhood association actually stretches from 969 to 290 and from 973 to the county line. Right. And so for many years, we've been fighting the unrestricted development, the people who are developing their own properties or subdivisions without going through any of the processes and without getting the approvals that they need, and putting huge taxes on the water that's out there and the roads that are out there and things like that. So we've fought against a lot of that, and also some of the sludge farms, some of the dumping, a lot of the dumping, and then the road improvements that have come in and the way that they're improving the roads. And the problem is that Travis County doesn't have enough people to actually go out and patrol this themselves. And so we've had to use the people that live out there to try and stop the development that's unauthorized. And keep a check on that.
And that's one of the things that I've heard from people I've talked to is the coverage by Travis County Sheriff's Department and the response time of EMS and fire is a big concern. One, for the residents that are already there, but two, for the newer developments that are there. The density creates an issue with the fire danger, and not having a fire station out in that area, or not having a substation for the police department or fire or the sheriff's department out there is of great concern to those people.
Well, would you say that what happens in the city of Austin really drives and impacts most of what happens in Travis County?
I think as affordability goes, yes.
Okay. Now, if that's true, does that mean that what this Prop 1 that's being advanced about the roads would have a tremendous impact on the people that you're trying to serve?
I'll answer quickly on that, and then I'll let Maura jump in. Because of my residence in Pflugerville, where I live, I don't get to vote on that. But I've read a lot about it. I've read all the newspaper articles. I've been to the website. I've been to the pro sites, the con sites, and I don't think that I've ever read an official definition of what's going to be done. I've read what is the intent of the bond issue: turnout lanes for buses, improved pedestrian and bike access, and so forth. But I think that what's being hidden in that is that in order to do some of those things, they're going to take away car lanes to get there. And so I'm as a person who's running to be the representative for Precinct 1, will then be impacted by that bond if I were in office. And I would hope that prior to people voting on that bond, that they go out and read and try to understand what's being proposed, the depth of what's being proposed, what type of impact is it going to have on your commuting routes. If you commute in a vehicle into Austin, are you going to be impacted by this bond negatively? And I think you are.
Well, and living in Manor, I don't get to vote on it either. But most of the corridor routes that are even attempted to be addressed in it are north-south. And as a lawyer looking at the bond, there is nothing in there that defines anything they're going to do. It just says we want all this money, and oh look, we'll try and do these things. These are what it's intended for. But you have to hope on a wing and a prayer that they're actually going to do it, and that it's actually going to cost what they say it's going to cost, because they're maxing out their bonding for the city. The city is only allowed a certain amount of bonds, and they're maxing it out with this thing. And so if it doesn't work, well, then where are we?
Can I throw something in here?
Yeah.
Is this one of them cool deals like you can commit this crime and retire and get away with it? You got all this money and there's nothing that you actually have to do with it? I mean, you can spend it on whatever. You don't have to tell them what you're going to do it.
You can spend it on whatever the bond says. So it can be spent on roads or bikes or sidewalks.
It's a lot
or
of bike lanes. I know
buses
that much.
or corridors and yeah, there's really no definition in it. You have to actually trust that the people who are applying it are actually going to apply it correctly or apply it in the best possible way, because you're not going to get, the people of Austin aren't going to get to have any more say in what happens with this. Once you fund the money, they get to use the money. They still have bonds that they haven't used up.
I got to get one of them kind of jobs. Let's do
it's-
it. I got to be a Democrat. Is that it?
Yeah, if you read what's being said, there's a lot of goodwill in there. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. The intent is to do this, the intent is to do that, but there's not a line item by line item specification of what's actually going to be done with that money.
There is no specificity in it.
Right, so.
Is there any kind of study that's been done to show that what's going to be done?
No. No. In fact, this bond got pushed through so quickly that there's not even an analysis. In fact, their own staff has said that given what it's attempting to do, that they'd need $1.4 billion to even try and do it, which is double what it's going to cost, or what they say it's going to cost. It doesn't have any studies. It doesn't have any They haven't done any analysis. There's no engineering in it. These are all guesstimates.
Now, I've seen there's a website called, I think, honesttransportation.com. I look at that website, and there are elements of the proposed package that are just estimates, like 11 million for this, 11 million for that. So is it even specific enough? It's almost like a guesswork to me.
It like I said, I've read a lot about the bond. I don't see enough specificity in there that they couldn't take millions of dollars and distract them to another area that somebody has as a pet project and not direct it to what they say is the intent of the bond.
And the argument I keep hearing of the people who say vote for it are, well, we've got to do something.
Right.
So let's just do this because we've got to do something. Because if we don't, then when we get down the line, we'll have done nothing, and then it'll be too late to do something.
Another question here. You say a pet project they could put it on. Now I'm thinking, anytime I hear a city council or county commissioner tell me they're going to come in and use this and they're going to improve my neighborhood, look out. That's not exactly what's going to happen. That's how gentrification. They
Right.
all come to help you out. It's for your own good. And as you just said, well, we have to do something.
Right.
They made little skinny lanes out East William Canyon so they could put in, it used to be a nice 6-lane boulevard where even old man driving in at night in his truck when it's raining could,
Yeah.
and they made skinny lanes to put in bicycle lanes.
Right.
And now we're going to get millions of dollars worth of that? We don't have to do that. Get them. We kids, we rode bicycles everywhere, had no problem. What's the problem?
Yeah, I used to work off of Rutherford Lane in North Austin, and the main road running through the business park was a 4-lane road. They came in 3 years ago, and they striped the inside lane. They double striped it, so it's almost like it's a double bike lane. And they did that all the way from the Walmart that's up there by I-35, all the way down Rutherford Lane until it meets 183, where you can't cross over anymore. So I have no idea who they targeted that bike lane at or where they intended people to ride. I had an office that looked out on that street for over 20 years. I bet you I could count on one hand the number of bikes I saw, and they put those lanes in. You still don't see any bikes out there.
And how much money did all that cost?
And it creates a huge amount of congestion because people don't drive in those lanes. There are cars in that lane. And so now you double the load on the center lanes. It makes it extremely hard to get out into traffic because people are avoiding the inside lane.
It's all right. As a county commissioner, is there anything you could do about this?
I would think that you could voice your opposition.
That's all we can do.
You could voice opposition to it.
I know Ma wanted to come out and say something about this, but she is still working on her problem. When it's live TV, there's always some little glitch somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the voice of the citizens would have to be heard there. Is that if there's a desire to go convert a road that's a functioning, good 4-lane or 5-lane road that has a center turn lane, and you want to convert it back into a 3-lane road with bike lanes along the edges, I think the citizens should have a voice in that. They shouldn't be able to just deem that it's now a bike path.
Well, I don't see how anybody would be voting for this thing, so maybe you won't have to deal with it. I don't know what as a DA you could deal with that, but anything to do with Prop 1 on the DA's office, I guess there's...
Not until they mess it up and we have something that comes to the public integrity unit.
I'm thinking...
We get to fix things after the fact. We get to punish people for doing it, not prevent them from doing
I'm
it.
thinking trial lawyers, I go down there on my bicycle and get run over, and then I can sue somebody.
No, that would be a personal injury suit, so
Well,
that still wouldn't be my venue.
The people who designed the road.
Still be a civil suit. Sorry.
Still
I'm
civil
stuck in that
suit.
little trailer back there. That's all it is to it. I ain't getting out of it, am I?
Now, Maura, do you have some ideas of efficiencies that you might be able to introduce as district attorney that would save the county some money or give the taxpayer more bang for their buck?
Actually, the most important thing, the most important tenet of what I put forward is intake attorneys. Mm-hmm. Having 24/7 intake attorneys so that it can address multiple problems. One, our full jail, because right now we have people staying in jail for an average of 7 months.
You won't be saying that,
And so we don't have any attorneys reviewing those cases at the time they're being filed by the police department. And that means that our officers are making the determination of legal sufficiency of the cases and of what they're doing. And what we need is attorneys looking at them at the get-go to be sure that the guys that we have in jail are the people who should be in jail, that the evidence we have against them is legally admissible and sufficient, and then also looking at the search warrants and things like that. This can also help with our backlog of 4,000 cases at the DNA lab, because right now the police are taking, every biological and sending it off for DNA. And this way the assistant DA who's present and reviews these cases could say to preserve everything, but only send off these specific items, or in this case, don't send anything off, and try and decrease that backlog. And then also would be there to help train these officers why this PC affidavit is insufficient, why this search warrant needs additional work, why this case needs additional work. And then also they'd be able to speak at bonding hearings, because right now we're keeping everybody in the jail, and a lot of them are there for nonviolent offenses. And our jail is for the persons who are violent offenders, to protect the community. And if you're a nonviolent offender and you've got a house and you've got a family, you've got a job, we don't need to keep you in the jail all this time. We're ending up with a lot of people who are actually pleading guilty just to get out of jail, not because they did the offense. And that just shouldn't be happening. Not to mention that it costs us a heck of a lot of money to keep them in the jail all that time. And then the final thing is that about 30% of our jail population right now is made up of persons with mental health issues. And they are not being identified early on, and then it takes up to 2 weeks before a doctor sees them, up to 6 weeks before they're having a determination hearing. And during that time, our jail is full, expensive. We're paying for medication if they're being medicated. If they're not being medicated, they're making the jail more dangerous, both for the officers who are managing the jail and for the inmates who are there. Because these are persons with mental health issues that aren't being addressed in a facility that is not for persons with mental health issues. And so by having 24/7 intake attorneys, they could identify these cases early and get them started on the path to getting them into the mental health system and out of the jail. So we can affect those things all at once.
I'm sorry. I can't even claim I'm crazy and get no. I can't sue nobody. I
Sorry.
can't get one of these other things. I can't even claim I'm crazy. I'm sorry if I go on kind of,
It is all about you, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't it amazing that you
it's
can
lawyer stuff going on down there, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm crazy. Give me a free meal or something. Never mind.
No,
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's just amazing that you can propose a $700 million bond for bike lanes and sidewalks and stuff like that, but you can't propose a bond to go get the outstanding rape kits tested and improve the lab conditions at our own DNA lab so we could do our own work and process our own business. It's to me that just sometimes I sit back and I look at that and I say, where is the priority with regards to public safety when it comes to unprosecuted criminals?
Well, and our district attorney's office, while all of our police agencies have sexual assault units, our district attorney's office does not. Until, 2 weeks ago, when they got a grant of $650,000 and decided to have one assistant DA and one victim witness coordinator to be dedicated to sexual assaults. Until then, for 3 years. Until then, we didn't have a sexual assault unit. And I'm sorry, 2 people does not a unit make.
Okay, you're talking about like the sexual assault unit and all that. Recently, it was brought up in the news because I don't have to be microphone. You can hear me from a mile away. They were talking about the mental health.
I can vouch for that.
Because they recently had that police shooting with the mental health woman with the BB gun.
Correct?
Right.
That was, and they shot her, so there's the mental health officers also need to be boosted, I guess. I don't know which needs more help, but both of them are serious issues, but you just wonder, they need money for that, not these stupid roads.
Right. Where's
Well,
the priority?
and
Hold on here a minute, Mo.
And for sexual assault issues and for the backlog at the DNA lab, those are things that a grant and seeking out grant funding could really help, because grant funding is for either infrastructure and actual things that can help for a long time,
Yeah.
or for to take care of an immediate need.
Yeah.
Which we had a grant for the child protection team back when I was at the DA's office. We had an impact court because we had a backlog of so many child abuse cases,
Yeah.
and so what it did is it got us a court that just tried child abuse cases every other week when we didn't have the felony courts having jury trials. And in a year, we impacted that enough that our caseload was normalized. And so, you know, these are situations. The DNA lab, and the sexual assault unit, they are situations that could really be addressed by grant funding. But taking a $650,000 grant and using it to supplement your budget for the next 3 years so that you can add an attorney and a victim witness coordinator isn't addressing what the grant is for, which is to really impact the number of sexual assaults pending. I think that you need to address that by using that money in 1 year to try and really address getting those numbers down.
Because there also seems to be a uprising in men that are looking for children. Cruising, because they just had another one today where they were like, the bus driver even stopped and waited for the kid to get to safety because there was a weird vehicle following her with somebody in it, you know, and it's like, it's affecting the children too now, and it's just not a grown women, and then you had that one, I forget where it was, it says, if you didn't stop me, I would have done it 3 times.
Well, and we're on a
Thank you, Mom.
trafficking corridor on
Yeah.
35, and yet our DA's office has seen little or no child trafficking or sexual trafficking offenses. And
It's
so,
out there though.
exactly. Well, and we also have a sexual assault registration unit, which has multiple registration offenders. And I've talked to some of those officers, and they've got guys with 10 and 15 registration violations, and the DA's office is not pursuing those. They're reducing them to misdemeanors and letting them go.
Is Chris left, but I know me and her both looked at the dockets, and a lot of these things you just mentioned about how you can make a deal, cut a deal for a lesser charge. If you've never seen them, you can go on the Travis County website and look at the dockets. I had no idea we had this many cases waiting.
Well, and
I don't know. I can't even count that high.
Well, and with sexual assaults, so in 2015, we had almost 900 sexual assaults reported from the police agencies to the district attorney's office. They only accepted 153. And when national
out of 900.
out of 900, and national standards, the national statistics show that 95% of all cases where the victim is prepared to go forward are later found to be true in sexual assaults. So 95% is what's later found to be true, standard nationwide statistics, and they're only accepting 153. Now and worse than that, in 2015, our DA's office only disposed of 12 cases as sexual assaults, 12, and one of those was a not guilty tried to a judge.
These I had to bring it up because a lot of people have no idea
Yeah.
how the workload that you must be facing if you get there. I mean, it's Hispanic names, Gonzalez, page after page, and and you look up, some of them are nothing, like you say, and I can easily see how a DA or just downplay it, lesser charge, probation, and go,
Well,
just to get it off the books. Is there?
And with the nonviolent offenses, with guys who don't have a history and a record, those cases should be disposed of quickly. And they should be, I believe, diverted if it's possible to divert them. If it's somebody with no prior criminal history and a nonviolent offense, we need to put them into a diversion program, a deferred adjudication program.
Do we have any such program?
We absolutely do. We absolutely do, and we have a whole bunch of nonprofits in Austin, Texas, who want to help people with those. The Mel's Justice Center, Latrice Cooks, group that just got a grant from the city of Austin. They are helping formerly incarcerated persons, and they, there's a lot of groups that are doing these kinds of things. And if what they have is an addiction, giving them some jail time and credit for time served is usually what they're getting, because first time they come up, they've already got 7 months. Give them a state jail felony, give them credit for time served. They're leaving with no treatment. They've been in jail all this time, so they've lost any job that they had. They've probably lost their housing, and now we're sticking them back out on the street. So what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go and get back into the drugs, because they're back in the same
Zero
the same
resources.
group. Exactly. We've created more problems than we've addressed, and
I like that the way you see it like that.
we've got
It's
to
got
address
to be a
these
lot
things.
of darn money.
Yes.
all these cases pending,
Yes.
and you can read them, and it's for the charges. They're out now, and they got a case pending, or it's been postponed, and that's the only legal term I know. Dilatory tactics. You can just stick it out there forever.
I want to pick up on something that Mr. McCord mentioned earlier, which is priorities. And I look at this proposed bond package, and they're talking about bike lanes, eliminating car lanes. And I'm just thinking to myself as a layperson, now you're going to float bonds to put in bike lanes. Why don't you float bonds to give low interest loans to people who own homes on the east side or something like that? It's a question of choices and priorities to me.
Yeah, I think that there are a few activities that go on through the Commissioner's Court that work to seek grants for affordable housing, for housing improvement, to help to preserve some of the homes that are in very sad disrepair. The County Commissioner's Court does seek grants and does fund a portion of that. There's also regulations when you're developing in the county, or when the county has some amount of oversight, that a certain amount of the units that are built have to be made available to affordable housing or to an affordable rent. There are items that go on like that within the Commissioner's Court and within the budget. And and then there are a lot of agencies out there, grassroots agencies, religious organizations, and some federal programs that also help offset some of those needs. As I've been working towards this campaign, I've spent a lot of time looking at the county budget and looking at the way the budget breaks down. And my personal preference in the budgeting process is there are high priority items that need to be funded and managed as a matter of doing business the right way. Your public safety issues, police, fire, EMS, roads, bridges, and flood mitigation, those things should be at the top of everybody's list every time you look at where you're going to put your money, because those affect the citizens the most. That's the biggest bang for the buck. But if you go through that budget and you look at the way it is parsed, there are programs that I have yet to figure out what they actually mean in the budget. Where's that money really going? And I'm sure some of them I don't understand are very worthy programs that I could dig into. But I get a little criticism. I'm not as big a fan of taking money out of a county budget or a city budget and dumping it into the school system. I think the school system gets a lot of money already, and that money needs to be very carefully managed and watched. I do think that the county can provide some assistance with some after-school programs and some insertion of police influences, integrating some of the patrol officers into some of those after-school programs, so people begin to associate a police officer or a county sheriff as a benefactor and not as an enemy. But I really think that the prioritization of the primary dollars of the budget should be focused on those things that impact the citizens the most, the things that they want.
Well, it just seems to me that I guess this bond package is really eating my lunch, because it's like they're catering to a few with particular habits or particular needs, rather than the many?
You and I could probably sit down and have a very lengthy conversation about this. In my business, the company I used to work for, I traveled a lot. I would go to Boulder, Colorado, and I'd go to San Francisco, and I would go to places like that. And there are some communities out there that have amazing pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. Colorado Springs, Colorado. A lot of their downtown is pedestrian only. The big difference between a city like that and the city Austin wants us to be is that the majority of the year you can ride your bicycle to work, or you can walk from your downtown community to your workplace 2 miles away and not break a sweat because it's 70 degrees. I would challenge people to say, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to take 30% of the people in Austin that live within 10 miles of downtown and have them ride a bike in mid-August to work and home that day.
Good luck.
You need to have a change of clothes and a shower, before you get there. And it doesn't matter to me whether you're doing that as on a dedicated bike lane or whether you're doing that on a bike lane that's committed to a traffic lane, or if they're driving in the lane of traffic. It's still 105 degrees out there, and it's 95% humidity. It's not a desirable condition to drive your bike 10 miles to and from work in Austin, Texas, as it is in San Francisco, California, or as it is Colorado Springs, Colorado, or Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Some of these cities have beautiful infrastructure for bikes and pedestrians. They don't have Austin, Texas summers.
Well, they also have planning that's way different than what we have.
I think they have also a different economic base. Colorado Springs, big Army base there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, it's really not that far apart to get to anywhere in that town.
Right.
It's a smaller town with a different economic base. And I wanted to go back to what Mike Lee said here a minute ago about we're catering to just a few with these bond packages. Who's building this stuff? We just recently got us a traffic circle there on St. Elmo and Pleasant Valley. And I'm telling that's gentrification right there. It's all nice, neat, and all this stuff. And it was always way behind budget and way over budget. Somebody made a lot of money screwing that street up. It looks nice, but... And I'm thinking, who's going to make all this money? Are these construction companies somehow or another tied in with somebody's brother-in-law, or no way to find out, or just got to wait until then?
There's ways to find out. Open record requests and looking through these things.
It's got
but
the name of the
not
company
easy.
right on the billboard there about this beautification project brought to you by Just Pay For It, Don't Ask. Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Well,
to get carried away again.
how's that traffic circle working in that community?
Todd Lane, Pleasant Valley, it's concrete plants and industrial warehouses. Four-way stop sign would have been just fine, it's what it was. We had to bring it up because this is one of the things that I example of gentrification.
Yeah.
When they start doing this, the bicycle lanes on a concrete plant.
Okay, all right.
Take that mic, Mike.
That one at Todd Lane in Pleasant Valley, nobody yields.
Yeah.
I do not understand how nobody has had a massive wreck there. They probably have because the fire trucks go
Yeah,
by
they
our
might
house.
have.
and
There's
the ambulance
always
go
a-
by our house. Nobody yields on the Todd Lane part. You're stuck waiting while the St. Elmo part, they just zip right around. And they don't care, they don't look, they don't do nothing. They just go. And, nobody yields.
There's bicycle lanes.
Is that a roundabout there or something?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, a little traffic
circle.
calming,
In the middle of
traffic circle, traffic calming circle.
nowhere. And it's a trucking road too, because the trucks come in St. Elmo and go up Todd Lane to the manufacturers and stuff there. It's like a warehouse road. And so you've got
Concrete
these
plants
massive
down
trucks
there.
that are, coming off.
There's also
of-
garbage trucks
and
down
they'll-
there.
And they'll take the St. Elmo, and there's concrete trucks and the garbage trucks that go back over in there. And so you got these big, massive trucks that are going to take out that traffic circle. It's not a calming circle at all. It's ridiculous.
It's gentrification is what it is. It just raised the
Maybe-
price.
It's out in
Of,
the middle of nowhere.
Maybe it was calming for the designer.
it was certainly
There's supposed to be a Zen garden in the middle.
It
It
does.
does.
Like a Zen garden.
It does, and it's got little zen
Now,
gardens
see-
all up and down the road.
You need to go out there with your rake, and then you can be Zen.
You'd be calmed.
I'm trying to find ways I can get some of this money, like if I retire. I like that part. I'll rob a bank. Say, well, I'm retiring, so
Sounds like you need to start a traffic circle construction company.
No, but
It's pretty bad. About at 7:15
Okay, I'll watch it all. We couldn't get the film up?
No, it said that
Okay.
out there in the lobby, they said the password works, but I put it in here. I can show you on my phone.
I know, I saw the picture
said
of
the
it.
password doesn't work.
Well, we can show the slates anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is Halloween, okay?
You can go.
We got the scary ghost camera that
That's
you're
right.
on right now.
And my see-through shirt.
And different colors. It's like you're on acid or something.
Go to Trailer Park Show. Facebook's got it. Maura Phelan.
The part of it, Pat, you can't see.
Blends into the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the
I see you got
Halloween
our,
trailer back there, so
yeah, you got our private trailer back there.
that's the wacky shot up trailer, but that's the Halloween camera.
I used to
And
drink
so
back
it's a
then.
goblin that got into the internet down here too.
Well, I think I mean before the show is over, I want to draw back to something that was brought up early
About
early
7
on.
minutes. 7 minutes.
Early on, and that was the how quiet the Republican Party has been in Travis County lately. And I think, after the last election cycle and the party chairperson that came in didn't help us at all. But at the same time, as I've been doing this campaign and I've been going out into East Austin and I've been going out into the eastern portions of the county, I find a lot more Republicans than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people that don't call themselves Republicans, but when you talk to them about specific issues, they come around to the fact that they're probably a Republican more than they are a Democrat. And having an active group, even up in the area where I live, we just recently started having Republican Party meetings, a regular meeting, and it's been encouraging to see the people that show up and the enthusiasm for spreading the message of conservative politics. I really, whether I win or I don't win this race, I think I want to spend some time in East Austin and the Eastern County cultivating the Republican Party and bringing them together, creating some unity, some identity for that group of people. The national election race doesn't make it any easier to declare your party affiliation. I know a lot of people that won't say that they're a Republican because the next question they get asked is, are you going to vote for Trump? And I would rather stick myself in the eye with a hot, coal than vote for the Democrat representative in the presidential race. So obviously, yes, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump because I'm a Republican and because I'm conservative. But
Well, there's a lot of people that are jumping ship, I've noticed.
yes.
Because they don't like Hillary, a lot of them don't like Trump, and there's like stuck between they feel stuck.
Yeah,
And
and
you just have to vote who you feel is best, and that's how your conscience goes.
well, and that's what I tell people. I say, you take a look at the Constitution, and look at the Second Amendment, and look at how some of the other tenets of the Constitution have been violated with regards to clear violation of the law that's going to go unprosecuted. Look at the Supreme Court and say, what do you want of your Supreme Court in the future? And you know exactly what you're going to get with one vote. And
We drifted off of Travis County now, that's for sure.
but what I'm saying is
I know, yeah, it's good.
it all comes together is that the party here in Travis County has to create an identity for itself. And that identity is not just West Austin, it's not just downtown, it's not just the northern corridors where there's pretty strong Republican presence. It's East Austin, it's eastern Travis
I
County,
agree.
and it's south. And those people need to feel like they've been brought into the Republican Party and become a part of the structure.
Well,
of-
we need to stake out territory.
Right.
That's what we need to do.
That means we'll be seeing Pat at the next Juneteenth parade with us, right?
I will be there. So and so the other thing about that is when you go to the poll, whether you go in Travis County and vote on the Travis County and you get the bonds on your vote, or whether you vote elsewhere in the county, just voting straight ticket doesn't get the job done.
Right.
You need to work your way down the ballot, and you need to make those choices all the way down the ballot to the very last issue, and vote your belief in your conscience with regards to what you want to happen in your community. I get so frustrated when I look at a ballot and I see 8 to 10 places unopposed.
Yeah.
Right.
The political system doesn't work unless we have a ballot that has opposition on it. And so I think that we need to work on that.
It seems to me that for years we haven't been able to field candidates.
We got 3 minutes, Ma. You better start putting some up.
But I think we're beginning to do a
Especially
better
in the
job. of
judicial
that.
races. We need more judicial candidates.
And while the primary election of the chair last spring may not have been viewed as doing us any favors, I think I'll say the same thing I told James. They say
Might have a
all
golden
things
line.
work for good to those who believe, who love the Lord. I say I don't see the good in this, but I do. But I do now
Right.
because it made people get busy.
He's got my favorite friends down there as his
Yeah.
guests tonight.
Oh, yeah. Robert Muhammad down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost as if
Tell him, come on and say hello.
you don't really take care of your health until you have the heart attack.
Right.
Once you have the heart attack, then you get given a set of rules of how to not have that happen again. That's kind of what happened in that election, is we were told what we have to do to not have that happen to us again.
To me, it was a wake-up call.
It was.
We got about 2
And
minutes,
so,
so,
to me, it didn't. Ultimately, it turned out to be good for us
Yes.
because it got us mobilized.
you
and
were on that
moving,
radio
thinking.
program last Sunday, right?
Yes.
That's good. Check him out on Sundays, folks.
I gotta go next door.
Yeah, you got to go next door, because coming on next. Oh, yeah, he helped us out. Some of y'all might have noticed we had a new email server thing going out.
Anthony's a good guy.
Yeah, it would take me 5 days to do what he did in like an hour and a half. For MailChimp, now we're just stumbling like mad. And I think by another time or two, we'll have it done real good.
Yep.
It's a nice stuff. Anyway, we got about a minute. Mike Lee is going on next. He's got a real good show coming up for you. We didn't get to talk about it. You need to go volunteer and help these candidates out, folks. But a minute left. Take 30 seconds, say something.
Go to MauraPhelan.com. We've got some great videos up there about my position on the issues. And if you've got friends who are on the fence, send them.
10-4.
And PatMcCord.com, that's my website, and it has my campaign information on there. Please go visit. Absolutely go vote. I know this morning was shocking that there were so many people in line. The voting lines were very long. They'll get shorter. Don't wait till Election Day. Vote early and vote the entire ballot.
10-4, now down to 20 seconds. This will be our last show until November 14th. The trailer park show will be off for 2 weeks because Halloween we're going to take off, and we're being preempted for filming on the November 7th. So we'll be back, but Mike Lee will still be on at 8 o'clock. Check him out, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There it went.
There we go. Good.
It's always tough to watch the clock. Mike Lee is bad about